Hello, everyone. I guess we're already live. So we are super happy that our webinar dedicated to Pinterest ads is live. So I'm super happy to welcome Akvile DeFazio, who will be, guys, sharing all the information about Pinterest ads with you. Hello, Akvile.
Hi, Magdalena. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's super pleasure to have you. As a short introduction, I'd just like to tell you that to make an intro of Akvile. So, as someone who lives for connecting people, making the connections between consumers and brands is what Akvile DeFazio, president of Advertise, a social media advertising agency, does best. As a conversion driven maker, she's passionate about helping businesses expand their online visibility and reach their goals via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest ads, which is our topic here. So excited about our webinar today.
Very much so.
Super happy. So before we will start our presentation, I would like to ask one question from my end. Isn't Pinterest a place for all B2B niches, in your opinion?
It's a challenging place, but certainly welcoming. There's a lot of opportunity for B2B businesses to be on Pinterest. It's still heavily underutilized, and it's worth testing out to find out if it's right for you.
Okay. Because also I'm wondering, from my perspective, Pinterest is a super nice place to watch, let's say, beautiful content. So is it a direct competition to Instagram on Tumblr, maybe?
It certainly is a competitor in terms of being a social platform and also saving things and being very visually appealing, but it has a very different purpose, more for bookmarking and discovery and sales. Whereas I think Instagram in particular veers a little bit more towards just enjoyment of social media, where they're similar but different enough to where they're indirect competitors.
Okay, and if we're thinking about Pinterest for business, what is the biggest feature from Pinterest, to business?
Oh, there's quite a bit and a lot of new launches this week, which we will cover in the webinar. So I'm excited to share those with you because there's many different types of businesses and goals that you can, it just depends on your business. There's just many variables, but we'll talk about them shortly.
Okay. So I think that if you have all your answers in your presentation, so do not talk more about my general question, but let's go to your presentation and the stage is yours.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. Are we able to see my screen?
Not yet, I guess so.
Oh.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with me. Can you see it fine now?
No, we have black screen right now. I saw your presentation a moment ago, but with the list of slides.
Sorry, everyone. Please bear with us. This worked. Let me try this again.
No worries. Take your time. I think we have still 1 minute since everyone is joining us.
How's that?
Now I think that we have a couple of screens, not just the one.
Uh-oh.
Maybe let's try to share the entire window if it's possible.
It keeps doing that. Let's try.
No worries, we just figure out in a moment.
What are you seeing right now?
Now I see me, unfortunately.
Oh.
So I definitely prefer your slides.
Sorry, everyone. We tested this yesterday and it worked fine. So I apologize and thank you for bearing with us.
Yeah, it's it's technical stuff. There's always
Entire
something.
screen.
So
okay, so I see that. Okay. What do you see now?
I see your presentation partly.
Okay. Do you see the whole screen now?
Now I can see the whole screen. That's
perfect. All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's dive right in. So we're talking about Pinterest ads. And as Magdalena so kindly introduced me, I'm Akvile DeFazio. I'm the president of Advertise Inc. We are based in Central California and have been in business for the last 5 years. And while that is the case, I myself have been in business for 11, specializing in online marketing and advertising, particularly with paid search, paid social, and organic social media marketing. If you'd like to connect with me after this presentation, I'm active on Twitter. You can find me at Akvile DeFazio, or if it's easier, just advertise.com. So enough about me, and let's talk about Pinterest and why we're here and the opportunities you can explore. So first, we'll talk about getting started, user demographics, why use Pinterest to begin with. Then we'll move on to business account setup if you haven't set your account yet. Then we'll discuss tag implementation, or the tracking code that goes onto your website. Then we'll move down to campaigns and the different options and opportunities that you have for your different goals. And then we'll discuss audience targeting and the features there. And newly launched this week are shopping campaigns, so we'll briefly cover those. Then we'll shift over to ads and the various types, and then we'll talk about video ads and some best practices. Next up, we will talk about strategies for success, and then is it a place for B2B? Well, stay tuned and find out. And lastly, how do we measure success? We'll cover some analytics of where you can find the data to make the necessary decisions moving forward to optimize and to provide reporting for your managers or your executives. And then we'll wrap up with Q&A. How does that sound? Great? All right, let's move on to getting started. So who uses Pinterest? Currently, there are over 250 million users worldwide, and 77% of those users discover new brands, products, services, all from business content, which is huge. And 93% of those users use the platform to make or plan purchases. So your job as an advertiser, all the heavy lifting, or most of the heavy lifting, is done for you already, because these people are looking to add something to their lives, to find something, discover it, and open up their wallets to make that purchase. And 98% of users have tried something new that they found on Pinterest. So it's an excellent discovery tool, whereas some other platforms may not be as heavily focused on this type of stuff. But this is a place where people go to be inspired, to find something to help them at work, at home, or other aspects or events of their life. And 40% of household income is over 100K US, according to Sprout Social, which is great. You can certainly test out some higher, maybe affluent markets, maybe higher priced products or services. So that audience is certainly there. And 80% of users are on mobile devices using their tablets and their smartphones. So just make sure that if you are planning to use Pinterest ads, that your website is mobile friendly. If you haven't proceeded with setting up your business account, you can go to business.pinterest.com and create a new account. Or if you have a personal one that has the proper content related to your business, maybe you're a consultant of some sort, or maybe a wedding planner. And if that makes sense, then you can easily convert your existing personal profile into a business one, which you can do so, which will be prompted here once you go into the settings. For Pinterest tag implementation, this is similar to what you might find on other advertising channels, from Google and Bing to maybe Facebook and Instagram, where they use the pixel or it's a small piece of code that you add to your website. So you can have many benefits, such as measuring campaign effectiveness, define audiences by creating custom audiences based on people that visit certain landing pages or your domain as a whole. And you can use that information and those audiences to optimize your campaigns. And some additional benefits with using the tag for Pinterest is you can track multiple events. And here's a list of the current ones. You can tag people that visit your pages, categories, do searches, add to cart, especially if you're in e-commerce. Checkout, that's a new one as well, also particular to e-commerce. You can watch videos for video awareness campaigns. You can do lead gen for signups. You can also do leads for a lead gen campaign in particular, or you can create any custom events that you might have for your particular business. And when you install the pixel or the tag, it's quite simple. They just walk you right through it. They generate it for you on the Pinterest side. You just append a name for it. And then you can either install the code yourself, or you can send it to your maybe your web developer or somebody else on your team that might have some more expertise with this type of stuff. And the Pinterest tag also works with Google Tag Manager, Telium, Magento, Shopify, Squarespace, BigCommerce, and some other ones. If you aren't sure how to add the pixel, you can go to their individual websites to find implementation instructions. If you're on WordPress or WooCommerce, you can also download the free Pixel, your site extension for Chrome, and add the tag to your site using that. Next up, let's talk about campaigns. What are the options for you to currently use? Well, for one, you can start at top of funnel, get people into your funnel, maybe a colder audience through brand awareness. These campaigns are typically lower in cost because there are colder audiences, and you're just trying to get them in and expand your brand awareness through the platform. You can also try a website traffic campaign, or if you work with app installs, there's an excellent way to drive your install rates here. And if you have any videos that you're looking just to drive some more awareness engagement, there's also a campaign for that. And exciting news, especially if you're on the B2C side or on e-commerce, this week Pinterest just announced that there are new conversion campaigns and shopping campaigns. So for conversions, you can optimize for the checkout or for leads, or if you have any custom conversions. And for shopping, you can optimize for clicks or checkout. However, if you're working on shopping, you will most likely want to do checkout, because for something like clicks, if you want to optimize for that, website traffic might be more cost effective. In terms of audience targeting, you can currently target by age, gender, location, language, device, interests. And my favorite part about Pinterest, because it's somewhat of a social and a search hybrid channel, you can target by keyword. So for instance, you want to target somebody that's looking for shoes, or maybe something more particular like hiking shoes. You can certainly do that and target by keyword, and Pinterest will also provide other related keywords that might be particular to what you're looking to advertise. In terms of audience targeting, you can also create custom audiences. So if you've been working with Facebook and Instagram ads, you may be more familiar with this, where you can create custom audiences based off of email lists or the Pinterest tag. So for email lists, you can upload a list of perhaps your leads, newsletter subscribers, customers, or anything else you might have, maybe from a prior event or a webinar that you've attended or have hosted. And then you can use the Pinterest tag to create some other custom audiences, such as website visitors or particular landing page visitors, or maybe somebody that added to the cart but didn't make a purchase. You can also target or create custom audiences based off of engagement. So people that have pinned something on Pinterest, or maybe left a comment or saved it. And lastly, my favorite, which works extremely well, are act-alikes, which are also called lookalikes in some other platforms, where essentially you can create a new audience that is similar to another audience that you have. So let's take maybe your customer list, and you've created an email list of your customers, but you're looking to find a new audience that might be interested in your products or your services. So here, with a click of a button, Pinterest can create an act-alike, which will use the data that they have based on interests and other just data sets, and create an audience that is similar to your customers. And lastly, there is expanded targeting. So here you can expand audiences by automatically targeting relevant searches. So for instance, say that you are going back to that example of you're selling hiking shoes. If you use expanded targeting, you can also find people that are interested maybe in just the outdoors or camping, or maybe something relevant to what you're trying to sell. And shopping ads. Beyond excited that this finally popped up, because Pinterest is a huge area for us to discover and potentially purchase products and services. So now with the shopping campaign, which was just launched this week, you can upload your product catalog, similarly to what you're doing maybe in Google, Bing, or Facebook or Instagram. And here are the file formats. You can do CSV, TSV, or XML. And file size, you can do quite a bit. You can do up to 500 million searches. But if your file is over 500 megabytes, you can compress it and upload it that way. And just as a heads up, that it updates only every 24 hours at this time. So if you do have something that does go out of stock, just be mindful of that the ad still will show and it will say out of stock until you either replenish your inventory or just comes down after the next 24 hours. So if you're noticing people clicking on something that's out of stock, you may want to just keep a closer eye on that for the time being until this updates much more frequently. And next up, after you upload it, you sort your products into groups. Then you create your shopping ads. And one really neat thing that Pinterest does is you can create shop the look ads. So for instance, you have a lifestyle photo of maybe somebody that's a runner and they're wearing sneakers, some leggings, and maybe a running t-shirt. You can tag those different products in the same image and have them be able to shop. In terms of ads, as we move down a little bit through the setup process, there are promoted pins. So as you may have seen when you've been on the platform yourself, promoted pins look pretty organic to the actual platform and just regular user pins. But as you can see, there's a little promoted by and then your brand. So here's just a plain one with just not multiple images. Excuse me. Then you can do promoted video pins. So here's one that's kind of a hybrid of an app install and a video, but there's just a woman doing some stretches. And it's just a 5-second video. You can also do one-tap promoted pins. If you're not too familiar with Pinterest, you kind of looks like this. You click on an ad, which was the one on the left, and that's what it looks like. And then there's a middle step where it opens up a larger window with more of the ad copy and details and engagement from people. But with one-tap promoted pins, it cancels out the middle step. And that's great because it'll increase your click-through rates, get people to your site, maybe to shop and convert a lot quicker. And as a caveat, though, it does cost a little bit more because it is making it a much more seamless process for you and lowering your bounce rates and just usually having better success from those. In terms of other ad types, there's also promoted app pins. So if you're working with apps, excellent place for you to expand your reach through the Apple App Store and also through Google Play. And the new shopping ads look like this. So they're simple, they're just an image or a video, and they just have the name of the product below as well as your brand name. And how to find these if you're looking for examples or maybe just to get some inspiration or to launch your own is you'll see the little shopping tag next to what the product name is underneath on the bottom left. And there are also carousel ads. These are really great to show off more of your products, your services, and your features. And you can run carousel ads for brand awareness, website traffic, and conversion campaigns. And through all of these, you can create different cards that test different images, videos, titles, or the headlines. You can also test different ad copy descriptions and different landing pages to see what works well, what resonates with your audience, and just to kind of maximize your real estate within that ad unit. And for video ads, video is still heavily underutilized on this platform. It's only available on mobile placements, but that's totally fine given that 80% of users on Pinterest are on mobile devices. So here's an example on the right where there's an image, or it's actually an 8-second video, but it's not a client of ours, but it was just a great example of it for bacon. And this brand is showing you how to, unwrap the bacon, how to cook it in a recipe. And it was really great, but it's still very busy around the rest of the ad because it's using the standard width ad. However, if you want a little bit more real estate for your ad, you can try a max width ad. And these are taking up the entire screen. People are solely focused on your ad. You can show your videos, your images, and you get a little bit more ad copy to show up underneath, as you can see here, compared to the prior one here. So with video ads, they can be between 4 seconds and 15 minutes. And you can get really creative here, whether you're in B2B or B2C with maybe something like a tutorial or maybe a lesson or how to cook a recipe or maybe how to use your SaaS product. Maybe, for instance, like say MailChimp, the email provider, they can show you how to set up a campaign. Or you can just get really creative with it. Realistically, people aren't going to watch all 15 minutes unless they're really hooked because people tend to watch videos just for a brief period of time, regardless of how entertaining, interesting, useful, informative they are. But you can certainly get people to watch the video. Just think of how to tell your story and to really show your brand in the first maybe 10 to 15 seconds or maybe the first minute, depending on what you're trying to narrate. And one thing with video is that captions aren't yet available on Pinterest, but if you can embed them into your video, I don't have any stats, unfortunately, I was able to find from any reputable sources in terms of how many people watch videos on Pinterest with or without sound. But for instance, with Facebook, according to Forbes, 85% of users watch videos without sound on their platform. So you just make sure that you're telling your story visually, textually, and acoustically so that if somebody is listening it without sound, or they might be hearing impaired, you're still getting your story across, especially if there's dialogue on the video. In terms of file format, you can use MP4s or MOVs similar to other platforms, and the max size is 2 gigabytes. And also, it's been a really great week for Pinterest. There's just so many updates, and we've been updating the slide deck for pretty much every day this week just because of all the announcements. But videos are finally accepted for all campaign objectives as of yesterday. Prior to that, you weren't able to use them in website traffic campaigns, which was a shame because that's a really great way to get people to stop scrolling, to be captivated, because there's just so much stimulus on the screen. But now we can use them for all campaigns. So get to it. This is brand new. So take advantage of it before it gets too saturated. Strategies for success. All right, so as you may have seen with like Facebook and Instagram ads, overlay text is not encouraged there. However, with Pinterest, it is highly supported and encouraged. On those other platforms that we've just talked about, unfortunately, if you have overlay text, your impression share will go down or your ads may not serve at all. However, with Pinterest, go wild. Add your branding, add your logos, add some things like this. So this is a really great example from Wink Wines. They're not a client of ours, but I just really like this ad because they really took advantage of their branding and just letting you, understand how their product works or their services. So here they are a wine delivery service, and it tells you exactly what's going to happen, how it works, because there is not too much like this currently on the market. So use that, put a call to action button on your actual creative, and just test it out, see what type of content works, and don't be afraid to put overlay text. Also have a strong call to action. I know that as advertisers, that's kind of a very basic thing for us to know, but with Pinterest, there's many opportunities to really get that person down into your funnel, get them to click through. So you can do that by adding it into your ad copy. As here we can see with Crocs shoes, they wrote, "Feel the difference, shop the new light ride color block styles." They did it there, but they also did it in the creative. They put a little shop now button. And then once you get, when you click on the ad and it opens up that second screen before you go to the actual website, if you're not doing one-tap promoted pins, you can have the call to action button there where it tells you to shop now as well, or maybe learn more or install, depending on what your conversion is. So especially if you're doing one-tap clicks, one-tap pins, you'll certainly want to add that into your ad copy or your creative, just so you're not missing that opportunity to get the user to click through and complete that action. And you may be wondering, well, what kind of stuff can I do on Pinterest? What's successful? What type of pins should I be doing? Well, if you aren't sure, but you have been on Pinterest, maybe on your personal accounts or your business one, and building up your boards, see what's been performing well organically in terms of engagement rates and click-through rates, and repurpose that successful content. Perhaps it's blog posts or articles, tutorials, infographics, maybe in podcasts. I haven't seen anybody doing podcast promotions on Pinterest, but with so many coming out, if your business has one, certainly promote it there. And if you're on B2B side of things, white papers and ebooks are an excellent platform for this. And here's a really great example on the right for Country Living magazine. Here they took 62 great backyard decorating ideas from an article they published, and they're repurposing it as an ad, which drives more traffic. They can test more audiences and expand their reach, visibility, and potentially their subscribership. And for those of you listening today, if you're in the B2B space, is Pinterest a place for B2B? Excellent question. And the answer is, of course, yes, it is. Pinterest for B2B is still heavily underutilized. There's plenty of opportunity. And according to Content Marketing Institute, only 1 in 4 B2B brands are currently on Pinterest. With users coming here to discover new products and services, to better their lives, to plan something out, whether it's an event, maybe something that they want for work or for life, a product or a service, there are many opportunities for you to get in here because it's not too saturated yet. Everyone's still focused on, the big giants, which are still working very well, like Google, Bing, Facebook, Instagram. But it's really important for us as advertisers to diversify and find new channels that might be suitable for our businesses and our clients. So you can stand out here You're still getting it a lot of visibility, whether you're doing it organically or through ads, and just get ahead of the curve and start advertising and testing, because you never know what will transpire on a platform such as this. Especially if everyone's looking at e-commerce stuff and you're standing out as a B2B ad, that's even better for you. So here's some great examples. Here's one from Squarespace. If you aren't familiar with them, they are an easy tool to build websites for particularly small business owners. And here's a really nice ad. They used it to their advantage. They put their logo, they put some overlay text, some nice captivating imagery that also looks organic to the actual platform. And here's one from Moo. They make business cards. And while it doesn't say too much, it says exactly what they are without getting too descriptive. They just make business cards and you can shop now. And it's bright, it'll stand out within the feed amongst all the other pins, especially on larger screens. So mobile, it should stand out just fine. But if you're thinking about something bigger like a tablet, or even those 20% of people that are on desktop, something bright like this and will certainly stand out and get people to click through. And just before we move on, if you notice there's a little arrow underneath each of these two ads next to the brand name, just pointing up and to the right. If you see any of those are one-tap promoted pins. So they skip that middle step and they go directly to the website. And here's another great ad. So this is for Merrill Lynch. This is what it looked like on my phone, but it was just an image or a video of a man. And then there's another one that I saw that's identical of a woman. And the camera was just panning back and forth. And it was just a very simple ad, but the video got me to stop scrolling down the feed and just check out what it's all about. And the fact that it's a B2B ad for, investing, that really stood out. And if you have a smaller budget and you're just getting started, check out what some big brands like this are doing and see what's maybe working well. Check out their engagement rates, at least from your end, since you don't have access to their analytics. And to save that time, because they have the staff, the money, the resources to create different ads. So see if you can get some inspiration from them and apply that to your business. And next up, analytics. We've done all this stuff, but how do we know if it's working or not? Well, with Pinterest, you can go into two different areas. You can go into in the top left portion of the ads manager. There's an analytics dropdown, as you can see here on the left. And there's overview, you can check your profile, the people that you're reaching, and different website statistics. And if you are using it, check out if you have audience insight yet. We just got it for a few accounts for our clients. Got some early access, which I'll give you a little peek next, but it's got some interesting things that could help you, make some meaningful decisions for your campaigns and to optimize and just to share that data and be more aware of who your audience is on this particular channel. Also, if you go to this example on the right, you can also click on ads. And here there's another, in the dropdown, there's a reporting area. So here you can find similar results or different types of reporting that you can do, but there are just two places where you can gather a lot of insights and data to pull your reports and provide them for your team or just to analyze your performance. So if you don't have audience insights yet, you will soon, but the current things that are available are categories, interests. So for categories, this might be something like shoes. For interest, it might be something like women's shoes or women's fashion. For age, gender, location, that's self-explanatory, and for device, but they provide different little graphs like this. It's similar to what Audience Insights looks like currently on Facebook. It's not as detailed as it used to be, but I think they've learned a lot from those platforms of what is available in terms of privacy and data, given what happened last year with Facebook. But it's just some additional information that could help you make decisions on who's looking at your ads and how they're performing with it, so you can optimize it going forward. And in Pinterest Analytics, another thing, that's one report, you can check keyword reports, which this is one of my favorites. So if you're running some campaigns and you're wondering what queries are people using to get to your ads, and then what some of the statistics are. So you can find the different keywords, the match type, the spend, and the cost per click. And as you can see, the cost per clicks are relatively low. So for instance, there's this shoe client and we're just running a general clogs campaign with the broad match term for clogs. And here we can see the different ones, and we can create negative keyword lists. So this is similar to what you might find in Google and Bing ads, to where you can create a search query report and then use inclusions and exclusions going forward to optimize your campaigns. And overall, in terms of costs, if you're wondering how much does it cost to run Pinterest ads. We've been seeing for the last year that it's about, the cost per click is usually about 15 to 30 cents per click, even with one-tap pins or max with videos, which do cost a little bit more, but it's just pennies for right now. So it's an excellent time to get in, still cost effective, and there's a lot of opportunity for a variety of brands. And that's a wrap. Do we have any questions?
Actually, we do have already. Thank you very much for your presentation, but it's definitely not the end, because yeah, our audience is asking about, for example, I'm sorry, Chris is asking, how do Pinterest ads stack up against Facebook and Instagram?
Excellent question, but there's a lot of variables to it. So it is still a much newer platform. It's not as robust when it comes to targeting, but there are a lot of opportunities where I think Pinterest has learned from other platforms like Facebook and Instagram. And the price is still lower on Pinterest. While they may not have as many different targeting options, it's certainly a less expensive platform to test out in the meantime.
Okay, thank you. We have two questions from Christine. The first question is about, where is the data coming from? Benchmark source. I bet, Christine, you're thinking about the slides with data at the beginning, I guess. That you, Akvile, you mentioned some data on effectiveness of Pinterest. So I saw that some sources came from Sprout Social.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any source you can mention about that the data came from?
Sprout Social, I think, I'm thinking, I know Ad Age posted some things, or sorry, AdStage. They have some statistics, but they came mostly from research institutes like the Content Marketing Institute that I quoted later on. Sprout Social does have, I remember, a blog post that came out with some Pinterest statistics. And then some of the other ones that I mentioned in that first slide that I didn't quote where they came from, those were all directly from Pinterest. So I would hope that they're correct and they're not overstating, but I would just say do your due diligence. But that's what I was able to find when doing some research on this.
Sure. So before I go to another question, please feel free to ask more questions. Is there something that Akvile mentioned already you want to know more, or something new you want to ask? Again, feel free to do so. The second question from Christine was, are there any specific B2B strategies, tips you can share?
Absolutely. So B2B, it's a welcome challenge for the platform, being that it's primarily for e-commerce, but it also, we can look at that. It provides a lot of opportunity for us. So see ways that you can take maybe existing content and not be too salesy, and just, you don't have to be dry. I don't know what your business is in particular, but if it's not something that's like, you know, overly exciting, you can create different boards and then promote those pins, maybe for something of how to send somebody down the right customer journey, or maybe something from a past event, whether it's online or offline, like a conference or a session, a webinar, an ebook, any sort of teasers. You can create some videos about that in terms of tutorials, maybe for your software, or maybe just a teaser of an ebook or a webinar you have coming up, and then get people to sign up through a lead gen campaign that way. So that way you have their contact information and you can take them down the funnel and technically own that user.
Okay. And here's the thing, this is not maybe a question, actually, maybe partly. So I can set up catalog-based ads without conversion tag being verified. It is tracking events though, just not verified. If I add it manually, it has the same issue.
Do you mind reading that again? I'm trying to go through the process. So it's not their account, it's not verified?
Sure. I can set up catalog-based ads without conversion tag being verified. It is tracking events though, just not verified. Quoting. If I add it manually, it has the same issue.
Interesting. Okay. You might want to just check if they have a help section on the Pinterest area for catalogs and troubleshooting. So I can't speak to exactly what the problem is without seeing it, but they have a very good resource center where you can do that. And then they have a contact area to reach out if you're still having any trouble with that. I don't know if you can get a rep, but hopefully they can certainly take care of that for you. But if you're not at that point where you're assigned a rep, which unfortunately I think they just reach out to you if you're a large enough brand and spending enough money. But for the time being, try that. And if not, you can find me on Twitter and we can chat further and I can see if I can help.
Yeah, exactly. Please remember that Akvile is a super expert in Pinterest. This is not only this webinar, you can contact her and ask questions. So, but going to another one, how could service-based industries like law firms utilize Pinterest?
Excellent question. You can get certainly creative. There's so many different types of law that you practice, and depending on your particular one, you can create content that is helpful and interesting to people. So then that way, if they're searching maybe things I should get in order before I contact a lawyer, or maybe a list of questions that you might need, or procedures, just something to get people aware of what their expectations could be, or maybe just interesting things like, different cases that you can share with anonymity that people might find interesting, so that way when they're seeing a lot more of your content, that if they do come to that point in their life where they would require your services, then you'll be top of mind and like, hey, you know what? They've provided useful information to me in the past before where I remember their name. So you can test stuff like that. Or if you have any statistics, maybe create something visual like an infographic of, people in San Francisco that have, hired a personal injury attorney because of a biking accident or something like that.
Okay, so talking about ads still, how detailed is the targeting? Can you go isolate by postal codes?
Yes, you can do that. So you can do inclusions and exclusions for geo-targeting, and you can get as particular as zip codes.
Okay, that's cool. And here we go. Another question. I have a question. That's obvious. What if I'm managing a B2B and not on Pinterest? So if I do get a Pinterest business account, do I have to have a certain number of pins followers before placing the ads?
There is no rule to how many you should have, but certainly build out enough. So depending on your screen, I think that you can do, if you're on desktop, there's 4 different boards. So as long as you have at least to cover above the fold, so it looks like you're being active, you're sharing in there, nothing looks too empty, start building that out. There's really no rule of thumb as to how many minimum followers or that you can have, but as long as you start accumulating them, maybe cross-promoting your Pinterest on other channels, be like, hey, we're here on Pinterest, follow us here, check out what we're doing, and give people a reason to just help organically build that follower base. If you have 100, try to get to that point first, and then just the next level up, maybe 500 after that. But you have to start somewhere. So start with 1 and build your way up.
So thinking about ads on Pinterest, we also should think about building a community, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because oftentimes if we, see an ad, regardless of the platform, especially on social media, that if we click on an ad, but then we want to go see what their page is about, what type of content they're posting, how good is their response rate or customer service or engagement with their actual followers? Do they care? If you come to their page and they haven't updated it in weeks, you're gonna be like, do I really want to follow you? How active are you? What if I have an issue? Like, there's all these questions as a consumer that go through our minds. And what's the reason to follow you if you're not being active? So if you can be active, like if you're pretty strapped in your small business, maybe just try to post something once a week so it looks like you're still frequently being a part of it. And that will certainly help your advertising efforts as well.
So yeah, thinking about ads on Pinterest, it's more complex thing to do. Sarah wants to know how can we get a breakdown of B2B audience?
Sorry, of B2B what?
Audience.
Audience.
How can we get a breakdown of B2B audience?
So it's tough. Pinterest has access to search query reports on their end for volume for different keywords and interests. And I can confirm that because our rep has shared that when we've asked, but there's no public facing search query report of that caliber to give you search volume, which is unfortunate. I do hope that they release that to us in the coming years, but I don't know with all the privacy stuff if they're going to. But if you have a rep, ask that question and they can provide that information to you. But if you are just trying to figure it out on your own, that you can go into the ad set level or the ad group and just start playing around with the different options there. If you decide to do keywords, you can plug some in and it'll start giving you recommendations. If you're looking by, maybe interests, you can start, and there's a big list where it'll do little sub breakdowns of something like, so say you click on shoes, then it'll drop down and it'll say shoes, like women's shoes, men's shoes, hiking shoes, like all sorts of different things. And you can just start seeing what's available and just build out what we typically do for our clients is create an Excel spreadsheet of audiences that are related to their brand and who we can target now and later, and then determine priority based on those. But unfortunately, they don't provide the volume of that. So they'll go a little blindly into it, but that's one way to get around it for now and get at least some sort of information.
Yeah, sure. We have another question about targeting, but this time the question says, can you omit certain target audience from an ad in order to better narrow down targeting? So not adding a specific group, but omit it.
Yes, you can do that. It's not per ad, it's per ad group. So within the campaign, there's ad groups, and then you create ads for each one. So you can do that at the ad group level where you're selecting your targeting. You can do inclusions, and then there's areas to exclude certain audiences as well.
That's a good information that we can narrow down our target group. So does Pinterest have an API for deploying and managing ads?
They don't have an app, but you can go on desktop, and they also have a bulk editor. So if you're dealing with multiple, like a very large set of ads you're looking to do, you can import your ads in there and manage it a lot easier than just manually doing a few here and there.
Okay. Based on the examples you posted, is there a preferred ad dimension, vertical, square, etc.?
So they're all vertical to some extent. There's no horizontal ads at this point. Not that that was a question, but just in case anybody's wondering, there isn't a preferred one, but I would say that, square is nice. It's visually appealing, but just to maximize your screen size, try to do the maximum for the longer vertical one. So then that way you not only have more real estate to add more creatives or maybe more ad copy, and just use it to your advantage. Certainly test out both, because you never know what might resonate better with one person, may not with another. So try the same type of creative or video that you're going to use, and just try the two different sizes and see how they work how they work for you.
So there's no one tip for everyone. We have to taste them.
Yeah, that's part of our job is testing. But, try bigger first, see how that goes, and try to cut it down and see if that negatively impacts your performance. But if it doesn't, then go with what works best.
Yeah. Sometimes we just have to test. There's another way to run ads. So when managing localized and regionalized clients, is there volume there to justify the administrative creative creation?
Absolutely. So with Pinterest, the costs are still low. And even if you're working with smaller audiences, you can see some good performance there. I love LinkedIn ads. I'm not trying to tarnish them by any way, but something in comparison is that with LinkedIn, you do need larger audiences of 10K or more, and you need larger budgets. So if you're working on the B2C side, B2B side of things, Pinterest may be a better alternative for you right now, especially if you're working with smaller audiences that are more localized, and maybe with a smaller budget as well, because you can still reach the right people without having to meet those minimums that work better with the algorithm. Of course, larger audiences, you'll get more reach, you'll be able to learn quicker and have a bigger data pool to make decisions. But again, test it out, see how it does for you.
Yeah, so we have to test. First of all, we have to start, and hopefully many of you will start after this webinar. Tracy is asking, is there a way for an agency to manage multiple accounts, sort of like the Facebook Business Manager or Google MCC?
Oh, that is on my wish list. So I feel your pain right there. Unfortunately, no. We have clients that just create an email address for us or just give us access that way. There is no ads. There's no MCC or Facebook Business Manager where you can do that at this time. But I think with Pinterest growing as rapidly as it is, we can expect that in the next, hopefully year.
I hope so. The platform is growing fast, so maybe we'll see it soon. Matt's question says, for e-commerce ads, do product ads do better than category-based ads or even guides?
Excellent question. I don't know yet because shopping just released this week and we're still setting up with clients. But in the past, to drive more e-commerce sales, website traffic campaigns have performed best for us because we're able to meet that conversion goal or that campaign goal to get people to click through, have higher click-through rates, and then just make it easy for them to convert by making, sending them directly to the product landing page. But now with conversion campaigns and shopping campaigns live this week, certainly test that out. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to drive a sale much quicker, especially if you're working with product catalogs where you can easily manage that instead of just creating individual ads on your own manually through another type of campaign objective.
There's a question, I bet, for another webinar, but let's try with this one. I have quite a large account. I'm very active on Pinterest, but the engagement is dropping. What can I do to increase it again?
Sorry, did they say that they're doing it organically or is it through ads?
I guess it's no said in this question. It only says that the account is quite big, but the engagement is dropping.
Surprised about I guess as the platform grows, we can expect that organically, like we've seen with some other social platforms where it's more difficult to get organic reach because more brands are getting into the space, and then users they want to see all sorts of content. But as Pinterest is a business, they're looking to monetize, and as a business trying to advertise, they're going to want you to pay to play essentially. So if you're doing it organically, just keep doing the best, create content, try to get it in front of the right people through other means and cross promote, maybe, through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, maybe your email newsletter or on your website or your blog, and try to drive people organically to Pinterest so you can maybe get some better engagement rates. But I think with the way things are going with the advertising landscape and eventually with Pinterest as well, that you're going to have to start paying for ads. And if you're seeing that through advertising, your engagement rates are dipping, then you might want to take a look at maybe there's something broken in the process, that maybe the audience doesn't quite match what you're advertising, or maybe the ad copy and the landing page, it's just not compelling enough, and you're losing people around there somewhere to where they aren't that inclined to engage with your content anymore. So test out some new things, see what maybe some brands that are similar to yours are doing, or maybe even completely the opposite. I tend to do that myself and tell clients to do that, to see what other brands are doing and how you can maybe take what they're seeing success with, just from an outsider looking at, high engagement rates, and see how you can maybe apply that type of same concept to what your posts are like.
Thank you. What type of ad, traffic conversions, shopping, etc., are you finding to produce the best ROI?
Well, shopping campaigns, we haven't launched them yet since they're brand new, but I'm excited to test them out. We have seen really great return on ad spend, return on investment for traffic campaigns in particular. Awareness campaigns are great, but they're just awareness, and we really want to get people to the website so we can tag them with the Pinterest tag and then get them through marketing. But for e-commerce in particular, we've been seeing positive return on ad spend, usually like 1 to 2x. Especially through remarketing campaigns. Those tend to be a little bit higher just because your people are familiar with your brand, maybe they're ready to make that purchase, they've done enough research, or maybe you have a limited time offer that you can offer them through remarketing campaigns. So you should be seeing a higher return on investment there. If you're on the B2B side of things, we haven't done too many sales off of those types of campaigns, but for lead gen, that's an excellent source to get high volume, high quality leads if you just really have your targeting locked down.
Okay. And another one question here. What is general CTR? What should we expect when testing?
For click-through rate. Healthy click-through rate is usually around 2%. Anything lower than that, like you're fine with like anything 1% upward. But if you're seeing anything that's lower, maybe like that last question where what can we do to get the click-through rate and the engagement rates up, is test different copy, maybe a different creative, a different type of person in your video or your image, maybe that looks more like your audience. And just start playing with the different ways that you can get people to engage. Maybe ask a question, or maybe a more compelling call to action if you're not using a call to action. Maybe like learn more or view more, just to get people to get to that next step.
Okay. And short question, but maybe answer won't be that short. Is there a minimum daily budget?
Ah, not, that's actually a great question. I don't believe so. I will definitely look into that. I would recommend, we have some clients that are running. I think Pinterest, when you're setting it up, it'll tell you the minimum budget or requires for a click. But I think we typically start at $10 for some of like the smaller clients that we've been testing Pinterest with. So if you have $10 a day, start with that. Maybe you can do 5, but let me get back to you on that.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions for real estate agents to use Pinterest ad?
Oh, yes. There's so much you can do with Pinterest organically or with ads, especially if you're in the real estate industry. You can create things, maybe home decor type of boards and then promote them with your branding on it. So then that way, people aren't just looking to buy a house every day, but maybe they're thinking about it in the next year, they're saving up money. So start getting in front of them with other types of content of what you need to get, maybe a list of things of like what you need to get in order before you can apply for a home mortgage, or tips for first-time home buyers, or maybe home decorating ideas, and just be that resource center and have established authority and trust with your potential audience as a realtor, and just make sure that your targeting is correct, because if you're not licensed in another state, or maybe you live out of the area, your chances of selling a home are going to be much lower, probably none at all. So just make sure that your targeting matches with the area that you live in. And one great thing that I've seen some realtors do is that in addition just to selling homes and trying to get people to open houses, is create maybe a board and promote those different pins as ads about things happening in that city or that neighborhood. So then that way people that might be looking to move there from out of state or out of country or from another area, they might become more familiarized with where that home resides and what they can expect there, and working with you.
And this is exactly what you said. Sometimes it's good to attract people with the content and with the advice, not only the super direct advertisement. So they like we're helpful. If I can add something. So next question: what is expected CPC for Pinterest ads by type? Shopping ads are more expensive on Google. Is that similar with Pinterest?
Since they launched, we haven't gotten enough. We haven't launched them yet since they're new as of this week. But I imagine they might be a little bit more, because we've seen that with other platforms. And I think Pinterest is learning a lot from how advertisers and users behave on those other platforms. I think for right now, it will still be much less expensive than, say, Google, Facebook, or Instagram shopping or checkout. But like for non-shopping campaigns, currently we're seeing CPCs from like 15 cents to 30 cents. There have been a few anomalies, but primarily it's in that range. So if I were to guess, I would hope that they would be under $1 a click. So test it out. I think it's a really good time to get in, just because it's a very new thing, and just see what you can expect for your own campaigns and for your brands.
Okay, it looks like we have the very last question today, which says, is there a way to better understand the total impact of a Pinterest campaign on revenue for an e-commerce company in Google Analytics? Let's click in typically out given Pinterest 771 conversion window.
Okay, great question. So typically between platforms, what we've often done over the years is we look at both the native platform and also Google Analytics. Maybe if you're working with apps, there's some great things like Apps Flyer that also provides data on that. But looking at conversion windows, we'll see what matches closest to Google Analytics, since we tend to trust that more. And usually there's going to be a discrepancy between channels, but as long as it's not too far off, then I would just, take into account what the transactions and the revenue coming in through Google Analytics is, and just, use Pinterest as a backup, because sometimes they can either favor their own channel too much, or maybe data's coming in late, or maybe tagging was incorrect. But check out both. And if you're noticing a very large discrepancy, then maybe look into your actual campaigns and see if there's anything missing, or maybe the conversion windows are off, or just try different ones and see which one might match as closely as it can to what you're using as a standard, like say Google Analytics.
Thank you very much. As I said, it was the very last question today. So thank you very much for your presentation and for all replies. I guess by the number of questions that the Pinterest is the thing that is really important. So again, it's great you was with us you were with us today. Thank you all who attended this webinar. It was really great time. I think it's easy to find you, Akvile, right? On
Yes.
Twitter and on email. So if you have any additional question on Pinterest, because I bet you have, just please go and find Akvile online. It would be super easy. And thank you very much for today. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.